Hi, good morning. I'm doing this for William Angliss Institute as part of my upgrade for this hospitality certification. Whilst I'm doing that, I'm also doing it as a lesson for my Year 12 hospitality. I thought, why waste the opportunity? And I'm also using a couple of Year 9 multimedia students who are going to show off their filming talents as they film this video. So part of the certification requires us to do soufflés. I have in front of me my ramekins to do the soufflé, and today I'll be making for you a lemon soufflé. To save time on filming and obviously to save time whilst we're here at school, I've prepared all my ingredients before the time of filming. I have my grated lemon zest, I have my lemon juice, caster sugar, flour, corn flour and milk. And I also have my eggs. It's a good idea to get your eggs out of the fridge and bring them to room temperature for a soufflé, because that's the best way for the air to be incorporated into the egg whites and the egg yolks we will use in the cooking of the soufflé. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use my pastry brush, and again, to save time, I've already melted the butter. So using my pastry brush, melted butter on the inside of the ramekin. The ramekin then requires some flour to be put inside, and you just really just roll it all around the ramekin like so. Put all the rest of the flour back because you're going to be using that again. You then want to use caster sugar. Put your caster sugar into your ramekin, and again the same, roll it around and take the sugar out of the ramekin. The next step you want to do, and this is very important, you do this twice. You do it once before you put your mixture into the ramekin, and then once at the end, once your mixture's in, to make sure that your soufflé has a straight rise and ends up with a top. So you just want to take a wet cloth and just round the outsides of the ramekin, remove any excess sugar and butter that will be in there. And obviously you're going to have to do that quite a few times to do all your ramekins. I'll come back in a second, hopefully with those done. I've already finished all my ramekins and I've got them ready to go on a tray next to the oven. Just keeping clean, students, because we like to keep a clean working environment. In my saucepan, I have 50 grams of butter. I've doubled the recipe simply because I've got more people to feed, and I need to melt the butter until it foams in the saucepan. As soon as it's foaming, you want to add the flour and quickly stir that, almost like you're making a roux, and the corn flour, and you stir really quickly and keep stirring for 1 minute. Make sure you keep your mixture moving at all times. You do not want to burn this mixture in your pan. You want to be able to keep that mixture moving and cooking at the same time, hot enough to cook, because you want the flour to cook through. You don't want a starchy flavour, which is what you will get if you don't cook that flour properly. Now you'll remember that from doing our roux when we did cauliflower cheese. So you must cook the flour and the corn flour. So I'll just keep that going for a minute. You'll see that actually changes a little bit of colour. It goes sandy texture. Remember that happened with your roux. And if you think your flame's too hot, don't be scared to take your pan off the heat. Now, this is looking quite good. I think I've gone for about a minute. It has changed slightly in colour. I don't know if you can see that, but it's changed slightly from a yellowy to a sandy creamy texture. Just going to take it off the heat because I don't want to cook it too much. The recipe also calls for milk to be added to this, which is next. I'm taking the chill off the milk. It's better if the milk is just slightly warmed, and I'll pour that back into my jug, ready to go. Just pop that over there. And I think at this stage, I'm just checking my recipe, which is always a good thing to do. Gradually pour in half the milk and then the sugar at the end. So when you've got your roux, so to speak, ready, you want to take your high temp spoon, get rid of that, and swap it for a balloon whisk. On the balloon whisk, you want to just gradually add the milk. Again, that's your roux, isn't it? I'm going to pop it back on the heat, because what you want this mixture to do is to partially thicken while you're doing that, and it will thicken quite quickly. This is thickening. So I'm keep pouring in my milk and whisking. Now I've just poured in just over half, and again I'm checking my recipe, just sticking with the recipe because you need to do it exactly as the recipe says. A soufflé is something that will not be kind to you if you have too many ingredients or too few ingredients. I'm going to keep that going. Just keep the heat through it because it's all the one temperature. Gradually adding the rest of the milk on my noisy stove. There we go. And all the time you're doing this, you're incorporating air as well. All your milk in. And at the very last, I'll just check that it is 1/4 cup of sugar that I'm putting in there. Actually half, because I remember I doubled the recipe. So this should be smooth, and it should actually just be thickening a little bit. So I'll add my sugar, and then we'll come back and I'll talk to you all about the egg whites. Okay, but since I left you, I've come back and I've added obviously the sugar to the mixture, put it back on the stove and brought it to the boil. The reason you do that is to thicken your mixture. So it should look like this, and it should feel a lot thicker. Take it off the heat and make sure you stir constantly because it will burn on the bottom. So keep stirring constantly. The next ingredient you add, and this will thin your mixture down again, is your lemon juice. So just gradually add that, because remember the temperature is going to be quite different. My mixture's still thickening, so I'm really happy about that. So keeping moving with my high temp spoon, I've switched from the balloon whisk to the high temp spoon and putting in all the lemon juice. As soon as you do the lemon juice, add your lemon rind. Make sure you get it all in there. The lemon juice and the lemon rind is what will give it that really sharp flavour. So again, I'm still stirring because there's still residual heat left in the pot, and we want to make sure that doesn't burn our mixture. So then we start adding our egg yolks one at a time, because we don't want to cook our eggs. We want to make sure we move it around really quickly, because if we put our eggs in there, you've guessed it, what do we get? Scrambled eggs. And we do not want scrambled eggs in the middle of our soufflé mix. So I'm stirring as both cooling down the mixture and adding my egg yolks. There you go, I've got all my egg yolks in there, and it's changed the colour of the mixture. Okay, it's got a nice orangey colour now. If you'd like to have just a little look in the pot, you can still see it's still smooth. Possibly could be a little bit thicker than that. However, hopefully it will keep thickening with the residual heat. Okay, now I'm just going to leave that aside because that won't cook anymore now that we've taken it off the heat, and I'm going to move across here to the egg white. In between filming, I've already mixed up my egg whites and added my sugar. Now I'll just give it a quick whisk just there. I'm going to stop that, bring it down, and you can see that my egg whites are really quite stiff. Now that's the consistency you need with the egg whites. Taking your same, actually I'll use a scraper, taking about 1/4 of the egg whites, put it into a clean bowl and add hopefully my cooled enough lemon mixture. I'm just going to pour it down the sides of the bowl because it's still quite hot, and in the interest of time I need to do this rather quickly. So I'm finished putting that in there. So with your scraper, just start to add your egg whites into the mixture. Just round the outsides and through the middle, cut through the middle. We're folding, remember, this is called folding. Round the outside and through the middle. And you keep doing that until you incorporate all of your egg whites into the mixture. Keep going. Now once you get the first quarter in there, you want to stop, put the rest in and keep folding through. Okay, last time we left filming I was folding in the egg whites. So I've folded in all of the egg whites. That takes a little bit of time, but you can see how light and airy my mixture is. That's what we want to achieve, as much air into that as possible, because that's what helps the soufflé rise. So once you've finished adding all the air and you get to that stage, you start to spoon your mixture into the ramekins. Okay, you'll see with the ramekin has a bit of a lip. Please do excuse the announcement. Apologies for that interruption, but there was a school announcement. We can't do anything about that. So while the school announcement was going on, I was filling the rest of my ramekins with my mixture, and you can see I've just left the last couple there. Maybe overfilled a couple of those a little bit. I've got a huge amount left because I'm going to be feeding a lot of people. And I've decided that I'll do big ones once I have got these ones in the oven. So the same thing, make sure you wipe round. Remember I said right at the start of the video that you wipe round, and I might use a cleaner cloth to do that, around the edges of your ramekins, just so we've got a nice clean product going into the oven. I've been pretty careful actually in a lot of these. There's only a couple needs to be wiped round. And of course I've got the combi oven. I put the combi oven on souffle and it reheats, and as soon as that's ready it'll give me a ring. I'll put the soufflés into the oven. Now my recipe that I'm using says for 20 minutes, but I'm actually using a smaller ramekin, so I'd be checking these after about 10 to 15 minutes. And there we have it, Year 12, William Angliss and my Year 9 students. I will come back with the finished product. So my students have just popped into back to class, and I just wanted to show you my soufflés rising in the combi oven. And I have a Year 12 class now, so they look like they are going to be beautiful. I've taken my soufflés out of the oven, and as you can see, classic soufflés, they do collapse as soon as you get them out of the oven. Sometimes if you've got too much mixture actually in your ramekin. And I've put large soufflés into the oven. They will take a little bit longer than the small soufflés, but there you go, lemon soufflé. Thank you very much to my Year 9 multimedia students for filming this for me today. Thank you.